The gap between the rich and poor in New Jersey keeps getting bigger, and you can see how bad it is in your town. This is from New Jersey, NJ.com, short for New Jersey. I said that like it was an enlightening insight. NJ is short for New Jersey. Guys, get a load of this. All right. New Jersey is becoming a more unequal place to live. Over the past 5 years, the gap between the rich and the poor has widened. State now ranks in the top 10 in the nation for income inequality. So check this out. You can check out income inequality by state, and you can see how bad it is. So the closer you are to 0, it's more equal, and the closer you are to 1, it is less equal. So check this out. New York, 0.51. It's one of that might be the highest. California, 0.49. So that's how wide the gap is between the rich and the poor. Here's an interesting one. Wyoming is relatively low. They're 0.43. Keep in mind, all of these are not great. All of these are not good. But what's interesting about Wyoming to me is Wyoming, of course, is home to Jackson Hole. Jackson Hole, Wyoming is the richest town in the country because it is the home to the Walmart family. It is the home to Harrison Ford. It is the home to Dick Cheney. It is a place notorious for rich people to go when they kind of want to just get away from, whatever. And I guess they're okay with, living in a place that doesn't have a lot around. They want that. They want the land and the quiet. And Jackson Hole is a very, very beautiful place, like the hills and the mountains, and it's great for skiing. And it is a very beautiful place. I've been there. Me personally, I would go nuts if I lived in a place like that because I would need more culture around me. I would just go nuts. No, if that's your thing, that's great. I know some people love it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just me personally. I prefer cities and more, urban areas. I like to, when I live in a place, I want to be able to look at the concert list. That's basically what I want to be able to see who is coming to my town and when. And whenever some of my favorite bands are touring, I want to know there's a good chance they're coming to my town. That's one of the things I need when I live in a place. And I know some people, they're like, I love to live in the middle of nowhere. I love to be able to go outside and take a leak. I get that. Nothing wrong with that. That's totally cool. But, just not my cup of tea. That'll be a topic for one of these days. We'll be like, hey, do you live in a rural place or an urban place? Why? What do you prefer? That'd be a fun conversation. And there are no right or wrong answers, nor is anybody better than anyone else. It's just personal preference. And some of it probably has to do with how you grew up. And, wow, I'm really over-explaining this. All right, let's go back to the article. All right, so that's why Wyoming, it's interesting to me why Wyoming is a little lower, because it's like they have Jackson Hole, but I guess when you crunch the data for the entire state, it's a little lower. Utah is also a little lower. And then Iowa is doing okay. Wisconsin, Indiana, Florida, 0.49. So Florida and California are the same. That's interesting. And Louisiana, 0.49. Texas, a little lower, 0.48. So it's interesting how this breaks down. I mean, I would expect California to be higher than Louisiana, for instance. But, I mean, you look at a state like Louisiana, there are some very poor parts in that state, and then there's also New Orleans and some other, kind of college-y type towns, like Lafayette. Shout out to everyone who came to Lafayette. I had a lot of fun in the Gulf, you guys. So I can see how they might have a wider gap overall when you crunch the statistics. But yeah, this website was shared on our Reddit, on the Get Your News On With Ron Reddit, which is just reddit.com/r/GetYourNewsOnWithRon. And you can check out the rich and poor gaps. So let's see a little more about the explanation here. So 0 would mean everybody has the same amount of wealth. Alaska came closest to that mark. Its score was almost 0.42. Conversely, a 1 would mean that all the income belonged to one person or a small group of people. Some of New Jersey's neighborhood came closer to the end of that spectrum, and New York nabbed the top spot overall. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your